November's over. That means it's almost Christmas. November was a fantastic reading month. This month in particular, I didn't set a TBR. I didn't freak out about what I was reading, when I was reading it. I just read what I felt like reading, when I felt like reading it, and it went really well. So we're gonna stick with the same wrap-up drill where I'll share with you everything I read in November and we'll talk about the top 3 reads. But what's different is I've written about each of them on Goodreads in like a more what you would expect in a review kind of way. But then I also have gone on my WordPress and broken down each book by just like some of my own thoughts and like more emotional responses to the book, not so like review-like. Well, review-like, but not one that you would publish. Just one that you would put on a WordPress and let the world see your feels. So let's just get into it. I feel like I want to honor the way that November went for me, and I think what started it off so strong was rereading the Wayward Children series with the addition of Beneath the Sugar Sky. So that is Every Heart a Doorway, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and Beneath the Sugar Sky. I wrote about these at length on my WordPress. I broke them each down, the whole experience. It's also on Goodreads. I will not be talking about them in depth in this video. I also read The End We Start From, and I also wrote about this at length on my WordPress and won't be talking about it today. However, this is such a unique read, I highly recommend it. I also read Reading People, my mental health peeps. This one's a good one. I also had the opportunity to do a buddy read this month with Jenna from Jenna Reads Books on Instagram, but we read Sour Heart, and I will also be writing about this one, but not featuring it today in this video. I also read Christmas in London, and I finally read Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I am most definitely talking about this in today's video, despite the fact that I wrote about it on my WordPress. So sorry. The next book I read is And Then There Were None. This is also one I will be talking about today. And last but certainly not least is My Lovely Wife in the Psych Ward. I will be talking about this one in today's video. Okay, so let's start with And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This was, I feel like, the book that I was really looking for last month, and I'm glad I got it this month, or any month for that matter, because it was so fantastic. And I also want to admit that the reason I got it is because I found this cover and edition of it, and I've been looking for so long, but I found it at Green Apple Books and was like, this is the time, and no regrets. I feel like the experience of this book is, it feels just so much like, I mean, it's a murder mystery. And in the beginning, I was really fearful that in the first bit of the book, it goes over every single character in the book. And I just kept thinking, there's no way I'm going to remember each of these people. But this book does a really great job about reminding you of that bit from the beginning and giving that context about who each person is, to where as things start to go on in the story, that's not lost. And I was really grateful for that. I was worried that this was going to be similar to other books in the past where a murder's involved and so many people are involved that the story kind of gets lost in me trying to remember who we're even talking about. This wasn't like that, and it was just very unique. All of these people are brought to an island and they don't really know why. They all have their different reasons for why they're going, but once they're all together, they're sort of like, what is going on here? And then people start dropping like flies and they have no idea who's doing it, what's going on. And it was I was just with it the whole time and was so excited by like how it ended. I liked how they unveiled it. They sort of had like a unique way of doing it at the end that made me wonder, is this how all of Agatha Christie's books end? And if so, then I'm buying them all now. I had asked about people's experience reading Agatha Christie books over Instagram, and a lot of people that have read several recommended this as the first one, and because I haven't read another one yet, I don't really have like the context to do that same recommendation. However, I did really enjoy this experience and feel excited to try another one. I have one in mind. It's the one that has Roger in the title, and I can't think of it right now, but I think that that's the next one I'm gonna go into. And I know everyone's wanting me to do the Murder on the Orient Express, and I've just heard so many mixed things, and like I know the movie's out right now and everything, and I'll get to it at some point. And I found a cover I really like of it, so I might get it for that reason too, but we'll see. This one though, I highly recommend, and if you haven't read Agatha Christie, I'd also like keep an open mind, because in the beginning I was like, this feels like Clue a little bit, but that's what you're signing up for, and just embrace it. So I highly recommend this, and I did write about it as well, so there's that too. The next book I'm going to talk about is Turtles All the Way Down, and I have to say, like, from this point forward, it's going to have a lot of a mental health vibe, because both this book and My Lovely Wife in the Psych Ward have a lot of mental health tie-ins, and is a big part of why I enjoyed them. So if you're not interested in that, then it's been fun having you. I will put out there that I am a big fan of John Green's other books, and I went into this one really excited and a little bit scared because I kept hearing mixed things, but I personally really enjoyed this experience with this book because I meant to look up how to say her name, but I think in my head it's pronounced Aza, but it might be Aza, and I don't care, whatever. I'm sorry, I should know, but I don't know, and I'm not gonna pretend like I know. The way that she is portrayed in this book is the main reason that I really enjoyed this experience, because I felt like John Green really embraced the opportunity to truly talk about the experience of anxiety and portray it in a way that makes it really real, and also illuminates some of the outside influences that impact anxiety. So whether that be like relationships or family members or situations, I felt like he did a really great job illuminating that, addressing it, and doing what he can to get the conversation going about it. In this story, Aza goes with her friend Daisy, try to discover where a missing man might be through Aza's connection with her friend Davis. Davis is the son of the man that's missing, and their hope is to earn a reward for having information about it or finding information about it. And through that experience, there's just a lot of content about grief and loss and anxiety, and just like the different ways that people can connect with one another or not understand one another. Whether you connect with this story or not, personally, I felt like it was a really important read because it's digestible, but still goes for it with that more challenging kind of content. Aza's anxiety is also one of the main pieces about it, and I just really identified with her experience, and it's something that I also wrote about on my WordPress because of that. Like, a few chapters in, I realized, like, I've got to say something about this, and so I started a WordPress and was just sort of like jotting things throughout my experience reading, and I couldn't ignore how much I felt like he really did a great job explaining that experience of anxiety, and specifically like the health anxiety. She goes through a lot of anxious thoughts and invasive thoughts about like being infected with C. diff and different things like that I think a lot of people experience and feel crazy for, and he just he just normalized it a little bit, and I appreciate that a lot and value that he was willing to go there. So I highly recommend this. Keep an open mind, and I thought it was really cool the way they tied in the title. So I'm not going to give that away, but I thought it was cool. The last book I'm going to talk about is My Lovely Wife in the Psych Ward. Whew, just take a deep breath. I always gravitate towards these styles of books, specifically like memoirs, but with this style of content. This story is told from the perspective of Mark witnessing his wife go through the gradual process of psychosis and navigating the mental health system in obtaining a diagnosis and like a plan for when these bouts of psychosis come about. And it's hard. It's a challenging, heavy read, because in the beginning you get the whole context of their life, how positive it feels, the way they met, the things they went through before anything in this realm came up. And you feel like a part of their system for a second. And then his wife starts to go through her first experience of psychosis, and the way he portrays both his emotional experience and vicarious trauma, as well as what she is visibly displaying, because he can't know like her full internal experience, but he can see what she's going through. It was just so powerful and moving to hear his vulnerabilities and to hear the reality of the process they went through, because I mean, the mental health system is garbage, and I am a therapist, and I know it's garbage. Even like he details like their first trip to the hospital, and he gets nothing. He gets like no information. He has no idea what to expect, how to cope with it himself, what are his options in dealing with it himself, what are his options in connecting with her in this process. And as a person that primarily wants to work in a hospital setting, I go through this and I read this and I just think like, this is such a problem that people like tiptoe around addressing and like acknowledge it as a problem, but nothing changes. And so hearing this experience and how he's gonna continue to go through this experience, it kills me, and I feel really passionate about having it be something different for people. It's just so different because I've never read really a memoir detailing mental health from a male perspective, because he does go into his own mental health within this book, and I valued it a lot. I feel like it's something I really never hear about. I hear a lot from like male professionals in the mental health field, but not those that experience something in the field. So overall, I think that if you're in the mental health profession, this is definitely a must read. But even if you're not, it's an important read, because this story can't move forward unless people understand. You know, it's challenging because I think that people that choose to go into mental health have like a desire to know about this and know that this goes on for people. And people that didn't choose that realm really don't want to hear about it. It might just be like too much or too fearful, and I completely understand and empathize with that, and I can get it, but it's just too important to not know about. So I would encourage you to really challenge yourself to, if this isn't the read that you pick up, to read something within that realm just to better inform yourself and maybe make a difference in how we address what really goes on for people instead of pretending that it doesn't. So on that really beautiful note, those were all of my November reads. I, again, really enjoyed reading this month. I felt like it was fantastic. And I'm looking forward to December as well, because there's winter break and hopefully a lot of time for reading and family and things like that. I'm excited for all of it. So thank you for sticking around and watching. If you have read any of these books, I'd love to know what your experience was like, or if you have any questions about them, I'm more than happy to answer and talk about it for days and days and days. All of my social medias are below. Feel free to shop around. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.